Dear viewers, welcome back to our module 1 of respiratory system. In this module, we have completed part 1 and part 2. In part 3, we are going to discuss about lungs. Lungs are paired cone-shaped organs in the thoracic cavity. They occupy all of the thoracic cavity except the mediastinum. They are separated from each other by heart and other structures which are present in the mediastinum. In this pictorial representation, we can identify different gross anatomical parts of the lungs. Site of vascular and bronchial attachments is called as root. Indentation that contains pulmonary and systemic blood vessels is called as hilus. Anterior, lateral and posterior surfaces which are in contact with ribs is called as costal surfaces. Superior tip of the lung is called as apex. Inferior surface which rests on the diaphragm is called as base. Cavity that accommodates heart is called as cardiac notch. Now, as we know, this lungs, they are the delicate organs, so they are covered by a protective membrane which is double layered, which is called as pleural membrane. As it is a double layered, outer layer is called as parietal pleura, which lines the wall of thoracic cavity. Deep layer is called as visceral pleura, which covers the lungs themselves. Now this visceral pleura divides the thoracic cavity into three chambers. Central mediastinum, two lateral compartments, each containing a lung. Now these two layers, between them, they have a cavity which is called as pleural cavity. Pleural cavity is filled with a lubricating fluid which is called as pleural fluid. So there are two basic functions of this pleural fluid. First one, to reduce the friction between the membranes. Second one, to create a surface tension. So pleural fluids causes two membranes to adhere to one another, just as a film of water causes two glass microscope slides to stick together. Now this lung will have lobes. Lobes are formed due to different fissures, and number of lobes are different in left lung and they are different in right lung, and each lobe will be divided into lobules. So in the right lung, as we can see, there are two fissures. One is horizontal fissure, second one is oblique fissure. Because of these two fissures, right lung is divided into three lobes: superior lobe, middle lobe and inferior lobe. Whereas in the left lung, there is only one fissure which is called as oblique fissure, which is dividing left lung into two lobes: superior lobe and inferior lobe. As we studied previously, trachea at the point of carina will divide into primary bronchus, right primary bronchus and left primary bronchus. Right primary bronchus will give rise to secondary bronchi. Now this secondary bronchi which will enter into these lobes. So each lobe will receive one secondary bronchi. So as the secondary bronchi are entering into the lobes, they are called as lobar bronchi. So in the right lung, we have superior, middle and inferior secondary bronchi. Whereas in the left lung, we have superior and inferior secondary bronchi. So there are of total 5 secondary bronchi. Now within the lobe, Secondary bronchi will give rise to tertiary bronchi, which will reach to segment. So tertiary bronchi are reaching to segment, they are called as segmental bronchi. So there are total 10 tertiary bronchi in each lung. The segment of lung tissue that each tertiary bronchus supplies is called as bronchopulmonary segment. So as we said, if there are 10 tertiary bronchi and each tertiary bronchi will enter into one bronchopulmonary segment, so there are total 10 bronchopulmonary segments in each lung, which receives one tertiary bronchi. Now these bronchopulmonary segments will have many small compartments which are called as lobules. So these are the lobules, many lobules. This is one lobule and this is the second lobule. Now each lobule is wrapped by elastic connective tissue. This is what the elastic connective tissue which is wrapping each lobule. Lobule contains a lymphatic vessel, an arteriole, a venule, and a branch of terminal bronchiole. Terminal bronchioles subdivide into microscopic branches called as respiratory bronchiole. Respiratory bronchiole penetrates more deeply into the lungs and subdivide into alveolar ducts. So from each terminal bronchiole, 2 to 11 alveolar ducts will arise. So respiratory passages from the trachea to the alveolar duct contain about 24 orders of branching. Branching from the trachea into primary bronchi is called as first order branching. From primary bronchi into secondary bronchi is called as second order branching, and so on up to alveolar ducts. Blood supply to lungs. So lungs will be receiving two types of circulation, pulmonary circulation and bronchial circulation. Pulmonary circulation, so pulmonary arteries which are coming from the heart will supply venous blood to be oxygenated. They supply deoxygenated blood. So point to be noted here, arteries carry oxygenated blood away from the heart to the tissues, except for pulmonary arteries which carry blood to the lungs for oxygenation. So they carry deoxygenated blood. This is what the exception here. And pulmonary veins carry oxygenated blood from respiratory zones to heart. So usually veins carry deoxygenated blood to the heart, but the pulmonary veins carry oxygenated blood as well to the heart. Whereas bronchial circulation, bronchial arteries provide systemic blood to the lung tissues. So they supply all lung tissues except alveoli. They arise from aorta and enter the lungs at the hilus. Bronchial veins anastomoses with pulmonary veins. Anastomosis means connected with pulmonary veins. Pulmonary veins will carry blood back to the heart. Alveoli is the basic unit where exchange of gases is taking place. So we have covered in the part 2 of the module 1, where we discuss what is respiratory membrane, by fusion of which membranes it is formed, what is alveolar sac, what is alveolar duct, and what is their function, that is exchange of gases. We have discussed in part 2. Now next part is respiratory volume. So when we speak about lungs, we speak about what is the lung volumes and what are lung capacities. So these are measured by using an instrument which is called a spirometer. So the first volume is tidal volume, air that moves into and out of the lungs with each breath is called as tidal volume. So this graph which is shown here as a pictorial representation is explaining what is tidal volume. It is around 500 ml in adults. Air that can be inspired forcibly beyond the tidal volume is called as inspiratory reserve volume. This is what the inspiratory reserve volume. It is about 21 to 3200 ml. Expiratory reserve volume, air that can be evacuated from the lungs after a tidal expiration, is called as expiratory reserve volume. It is about 1000 to 1200 ml. And the last one, residual volume, air left in the lungs after strenuous expiration. So we expired a lot and some amount of air remained in the lungs, that is called as residual volume. It is about 1200 ml. So all these 4 volumes, when we add up, it will make up total lung capacity. So inspiratory reserve volume plus tidal volume plus expiratory reserve volume plus residual volume will make up total lung capacity. Now, capacities of the lungs. Inspiratory capacity, total amount of air that can be inspired after a tidal expiration, is called as inspiratory capacity, which is a sum of inspiratory reserve volume plus tidal volume, and it is about 3600 ml. Amount of air remaining in the lungs after a tidal expiration is called as functional residual capacity, and it is the sum of expiratory reserve volume plus residual volume. Vital capacity, total amount of exchangeable air, is called as vital capacity. It is the sum of tidal volume plus inspiratory reserve volume plus expiratory reserve volume. Total lung capacity, sum of all lung volumes, which is approximately 6000 ml in males, is called as total lung capacity. So respiratory rate. Respiratory rate is different in different aged people. From birth to 1 year, it is about 30 to 60 breaths per minute. From 1 to 3 years, it is 24 to 40. From 3 to 6 years, it is 22 to 34. From 6 to 12 years, it is 18 to 30. And from 12 and above, it will be 12 breaths or 12 to 16 breaths per minute. So it is decreasing. So lung capacity will increase. So number of breaths will decrease. So total volume of air inhaled and exhaled each minute is called as minute ventilation, which is a product of respiratory rate and tidal volume. So normal respiratory rate is 12 breaths per minute and normal tidal volume is 500 ml per breathe. So it will give 6 liters per minute, which is minute ventilation. Now the actually lung is involved in respiration, but there is the certain area which is not involved in respiration, that is exchange of gases, that is called as dead space. So as we know, trachea or tracheobronchial tree complete is not involved in exchange of gases. So that tree anatomically is called as dead space. So it is called as anatomical dead space, which is about 150 ml. And some alveoli are also not involved in exchange of gases because of their obstruction or they collapse. So that is called as alveolar dead space. So sum of this anatomical dead space and alveolar dead space is called as total dead space. Next, pulmonary function tests are determined by spirometer, which is an instrument consisting of a hollow bell inverted over water used to evaluate respiratory function. So this is used to distinguish between an obstructive pulmonary disease and a restrictive disorder. So obstructive pulmonary disease is increased airway resistance, example chronic bronchitis. So pictorial representation is explaining how the bronchitis is occurring, what happens to the airway in bronchitis and how the lumen is very free in a healthy individual. So bronchitis is nothing but what? It is inflammation of bronchi. Restrictive disorders, like reduction in total lung capacity from structural and functional lung changes, that is called as restrictive disorders, like idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis, an example of restrictive disorder. So what is happening to the structure of the lung? We can see in this pictorial representation, this is what the normal structure of the normal people, and here idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis cause structural and functional changes in the lung tissue. So this test is used to distinguish between either the person is suffering from obstructive disease or a restrictive disorder. Total amount of gas flow into or out of the respiratory tract in 1 minute is called as total ventilation. Gas forcibly expelled after keeping a deep breath is called as forced vital capacity. And amount of gas expelled during specific time intervals of forced vital capacity is called as forced expiratory volume. So in the pulmonary function test, means in these two types of disorders, obstructive disease and restrictive disease, in the obstructive disease, total lung capacity, forced respiratory capacity and residual volume will be increased. Whereas in restrictive disease, vital capacity, total lung capacity, forced respiratory capacity and residual volume are decreased. So this is what the basic difference what we are getting between these two diseases. Alveolar ventilation, that is alveolar ventilation rate, measures the flow of fresh gases into and out of the alveoli during a particular time. That is called as alveolar ventilation rate, which is a product of frequency and total tidal volume minus dead space.